What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another Brand Doctor podcast episode. I am super excited to introduce Isabel Hundt today. She is going to talk all about mindset, creating a strong mindset, creating a purpose-driven brand, what you need to focus on, what we need to not focus on to really get us that sustainable success that we're looking for. So Isabel, welcome to the show. How the hell are you?
Thank you so much for having me. How the hell am I? Warm. It's too humid. We have like 70% humidity, so it's too humid. I can't handle it.
It's like 90 degrees here in New Jersey today. It's insane. I'm loving every minute of it though, I promise you.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. For those folks that do not know who Isabel Hundt is, I want to know the backstory. I kind of want to know why we need to be paying attention to what it is that you're going to chat with us today about.
All right, sounds great. I'll try to keep it short. But for those who don't know me, I am a certified transformation coach. I also am an emotions clearing practitioner, meaning I release trapped emotions. I teach and coach and talk about emotions and the effect of emotions and the true message of emotions. And I am also a speaker and published author of my book, The Power of Faith-Driven Success. And since last week, Amazon best-selling co-author of the book Unscripted: How Women Thrive in Life, Thrive Business and Relationships.
Nice.
Mix it up. Life, yeah, okay. Life, business, and relationships. So it was a really great project to be part of. So I'm really proud of that one too. But yes, in general, I work with a very specific niche. Personally, it's empath and empath warriors. I coined that term about 2 years ago. And those are people that are very highly sensitive. We don't just empathize with people, we literally become them. And if you don't know what's going on, you tend to be very overwhelmed and frustrated and overstimulated, and you tend to just want to hide most of the time. And a lot of younger entrepreneurs actually experience that. It seems like a lot of young people resonate to my message, which makes me really happy. But in general, again, I also release trapped emotions. I'm able to, because of being an empath myself, I have specific gifts that I can use, like energy healing and seeing colors around people, which I know now is reading the message of their heart, their soul. So it's a lot of spirituality in my business as well, but not organized religion. We're not talking about that. We're really talking about the connection to your soul and your heart, the soul driven brand, literally. So that's what I do. And then again, I teach and coach and speak on the topic of emotions, which is awesome.
Well, listen, we're emotional creatures, and 98% of what we decide to do in life is based on emotion, in my opinion. You could play around with those percentages all you want, but ask any salesperson, ask anybody that, sells things or is in selling. They'll tell you that people make decisions based on emotions. So, I definitely wanted to have you on the show today because I wanted to help our audience really understand their emotions and how to control their emotions to the best of their ability. Because at the end of the day, I want them to be creating better decisions for themselves, for their business, for their brands. And so we were talking a little bit offline about certain folks make success look so easy. Some folks make success look like, it just comes to them so naturally, where other folks, man, it's like pulling teeth. And then once they get it, it's like they don't know what to do with it. And then they, it explodes in front of their face. And that happened to me a couple of times in my career. I came into money very quickly. I didn't know what to do with it. I let it get to my head. I made all the wrong decisions, and lost a lot of friends, lost a lot of family, and I want folks to avoid that at all costs. And so I want to talk about what the strong mindset has, what are the characteristics of that mindset that's able to make those decisions and help them get to success faster and to a more sustainable level?
Mm-hmm. Very interesting question. And very individual too, because every individual responds different to their emotional world, but that is true. And it's interesting that you say, I would like for people to avoid those downfalls. Actually, I think sometimes it's necessary for us to feel them and to have them, because everything that happens to us is a way for our internal being, our soul, a way to say, hey, this is where you need to find some healing. This is where you need to break through to create the impact that I know you're supposed to have, and the impact that you're supposed to create in the world. So it's actually not bad. It really just depends on the relationship that you have to it and how you respond to everything that happens in your life. But it can get exhausting. Yes, it can. And tiring. And at some point you might give up. And that's, I think, where especially the emotional foundation comes in. You don't give up when you're aware of your emotional world and are able to navigate that and use it for good, meaning understanding the message behind your emotions and not just being driven by it. And we have created a society, and I think that's where salespeople will have to change their mindset and how they sell, where we use manipulative techniques to have people sell. Like, it's like triggering that pain point. And because of that, like, I don't like that kind of approach, to be honest. I know we need to help them understand, hey, this is, I think, where you're at, and this is how I can support you. Yet, from a purpose-driven mindset, we know that they're capable of making the right decision for themselves if they want to work with you or not. So giving them the choice and empowering them to make the choice for them usually is much more successful for your business, for yourself, and for the people that are going to work with you. But that takes some work. As we talked about again earlier, emotion is your foundation. Your emotional world is literally what drives you, what gets you to where you want to go, or not get you where you want to go, like the total opposite. And often what we want is not in alignment with what we believe. We call that multi-mindedness instead of single-mindedness. And that creates literally a raging war inside of yourself. If you create a business and you have a brand, you are your brand. You create the message. And your message comes from within, comes from what you want to do in this world, what you want people to understand, what you want people to know, and how they can improve, right? That is part of your message. But if you don't believe what you actually try to convey, you are sending out some kind of crazy chaos vibration where people are like, I don't know if I should trust you, or maybe not, or maybe I don't know what to do with you. Should I sign up? I know I think I want to, but not really. And, you know, and then we're driven by that. And then you wonder, like, okay, what is wrong with that? Why are people not responding to it? And it's very much an internal decision that you have to make. Do I actually really truly believe what I send out? And that's where most, if you ask all of successful people, they are pretty much aware what they feel. Their emotional maturity is usually out of this world. Like, they know exactly what they feel and how they respond to people, because literally when you are out there as a entrepreneur, as a brand, as a business, people come at you, people look at you, you receive so many subconscious information that people send out just thinking about you. We know that this now impacts you. When I'm on stage speaking, there was a girl, I spoke at a university, and I asked someone to volunteer to be on stage. And so she came up, she's like, oh yeah, I want to do that. I was like, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. But that's okay. Well, she was really excited. She was, I think, 20 or 19, and I loved it. And so I had on the wall projected what they're supposed to do, the audience. So if I put my thumb up, they were supposed to just send loving thoughts towards her. And if I put my thumb down, they were supposed to send all kind of nasty thoughts towards her. Nothing in very positive, which is not so great, but we did it. Well, anyways, I did muscle testing with her each time, and it turned out that her muscles, her arms, stayed very strong when the people were sending loving thoughts towards her, but she became very, very weak when they started to send negative thoughts towards her. And that's exactly what happens when your thoughts and your belief are not in alignment, or what happens when people think about you and your business and whatever thoughts come up. The more you are out there, the more people look at you, and the more of those subconscious energy you receive. And so you have to be very much aware of what you receive. I think with most people, it's often not even their own emotional world that they experience, but it's everyone else's. Right. And I've learned that. I mean, I have a very controversial topic when it comes to energy and spirituality and those things. There's a lot of people that don't get it, but then they also make that known and they get very personal. Like, I don't believe anything you say because you're moving too much when you talk. I'm like, oh, whatever. And so there have been those things, but I have learned, even though I can feel it, it's almost like an arrow that comes at me, like a spear just hits you. And I'm like, I'm angry. I'm upset about something. I don't know what it is. But by now I can literally tune in and say, okay, is that mine or is it coming from someone else? And by now I have trained myself so much that I can distinguish between that. And then I can say, okay, this is not mine. And I'm sending it back to the person who sent it to me. So I'm not being affected emotionally by it. That's one thing that you have to be aware when you're a public figure. It's not just what you feel, but it's also what other people feel towards you that impacts your business and your decision making. So you have to create some kind of a cocoon around you, an invisible cocoon that you still can let people in and you can connect with them as well. But at the same time, energetically, you're protecting yourself.
Yeah.
And that is very important to create a successful brand, to be aware of that. And if you take a look at very successful people, it doesn't really face them anymore what other people say about them. They don't even pay attention to it. They don't let it affect them, because if they know it or not, but I would think most of them work with coaches, so they should know that they're more aware of their emotional world and how to navigate their own world, so they're aware of what's going on outside of them and not have it affect them. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And it's funny because I had this conversation with another podcast guest not too long ago. I said, I don't know how music artists do it. For example, and we use Drake as an example, right? This guy, he's just incredible at what he does. I'm a huge Drake fan, but he's got his haters, right? And when he drops a song and it's not up to par to these folks' standards, it's not like a light little, the song it's okay. He's got a lot of better songs. It's like, you're horrible. The song was horrible. And now Drake just put his blood, sweat, and tears into that track, right? And now you're having people, hundreds, thousands of people say that it was horrible, or you lost your touch, or you're a sham, or now you suck and you're never going to be who you used to be. People are brutal.
Oh yeah.
People are brutal. And so, I ask, maybe you have the answer to this, but what do they do? How do they keep that ground?
For one, you have to ground yourself a lot. That literally is actually an exercise, meaning what you can do to ground yourself is to just go outside and walk barefoot. Don't even I think that's the reason why I don't really like shoes. I just always walk barefoot. And my son too, he is just awesome with that. He just I want to go outside grounding, and okay, do that please. But I think when you're grounded, meaning when you're really balanced and centered within yourself and you know who you are and the message that you want to convey to your audience, it doesn't affect you as much, because the more you understand about who you are, the more clear you are what affects you, what your beliefs are, what may show up as triggers, and you're not reacting to it, but reflecting on it and then accordingly respond to it. Then your own your bioelectromagnetic field, your own frequency. We know that by now, that we all have that. It starts from the heart and goes around you. Oops, I'm throwing my stuff around. Goes around you. And if that frequency is high, because you're so aware of who you are and what you do and the message that you have, it doesn't affect you as bad. Like you can literally, like your energetic field protects you from all those haters. And really, they're not really haters. They are just might be insecure. You might have triggered them. There are things that they might maybe jealous, and maybe they really just don't align with whatever you have to say. But again, it is not personally about you. It's just them not knowing how to respond appropriately as human beings should, right? But usually when your own vibration is high, then you're not as affected. If, for example, if you're an artist and you get your message out and it just, you don't take care of yourself and you get really exhausted and you get sick a lot, then your own bioelectromagnetic field, the frequency is very low, usually below 58 hertz. That's how they measure it. And that's when you're even more prone to diseases and to mental challenges like depression and anxiety attacks. When you're in that state, whatever those haters send out to you will affect you much, much more. It literally adds to the stress that you're already feeling and lowers your vibration even more. At some point, they have burnouts. That's where it usually goes. So if you have a very healthy relationship with yourself and you have a very healthy awareness of who you are, how your body works, what your needs are, how you can navigate your emotional world, understanding, oh, okay, I feel fear. Maybe there's something that I can ask myself to reflect on that. It's nothing bad. It's nothing good. It's just whatever I make of it. Or I feel sad. Maybe there's something that I need to let go of, something that I need to mourn. Maybe someone that I have to leave behind. It might be someone on your team that you actually care about, but it's no longer part of your bigger vision. When you're aware of that, you can easily work through it while still your vibration is high. And I think the difference between a successful artist and a non-successful burnout-driven artist is the awareness.
I love it. So self-awareness being, that is so powerful. And it's funny, you're talking about these energies and you're talking about, so I studied spirituality at a very, very low level. I mean, I read some books and I would say that I'm quite the spiritual person. Like I'm not super religious, but I am very spiritual. Like I don't believe in coincidences. Things have happened to me where I'd be like, I gotta like pinch myself a little bit because that was just a little too, I don't want to say the W word, weird, but it happened for a reason, right? But right. I totally believe in it, and I just feel like if people start to become more self-aware, they're going to be more grounded, they're going to be able to make more decisions, better decisions, and move things along a lot faster in life. And one of the things that I think people do, in my opinion, is they take things way too personal. And if somebody sends that energy out to them, right, they immediately take it personal. Specifically in business, you know, I work with a lot of personal brands, coaches, consultants, and they, when they get a negative review, or they have somebody who's, we all get disgruntled clients from time to time, right? You know, and they don't know what to do. They're ready to shut down the house. Like they explode inside. Yeah. And the first thing that I always tell them to do is ask yourself, is what this person is saying, is it true? Let's get to the bottom of that first. And if there's some truth to it, why? All right. So yeah, what happened, and then we go from there. But 95% of the time, 98% of the time, it's not personal. No. It's not necessarily 100% true. People perceive things in 1,000.
Yeah, exactly. Because everyone creates their own reality. We can all change how we experience the world. So what one person, it's the same with color. Like take the color beige. That is a very controversial color. Some say that is brown. Others say, no, that's beige. And others say, well, that looks more like a yellowish to me. So that is exactly how you create your reality. And that's what, like, if I say, okay, but I see like yellow in it because it's what I want to see, then people who resonate with yellow will probably flock to me. And people who say, that's brown, they're probably going to come after me and say, no, you're wrong, and I'll prove you're wrong. And the worst thing is that you can do, and I've learned that, and actually I just talked about it, weird that we talk about it too, I just created a video about it yesterday, where I talk about, now that I have this awareness, now I have this understanding, I'm just going back to them, I was like, hey, I'm going to take that into consideration, thank you. And you literally take the wind out of their sails and like, wait a second. But the minute I try to defend myself and try to make them understand where I'm coming from, for one that can be like that long of a story. But the minute I do that, I fall into the trap that they have been set and making their ego feel better about whatever they want to try to get out, whatever they are dealing with. It doesn't matter. So it really is just about a reflection. Like, hey, if someone calls you, for example, arrogant, like, hey, someone experienced you as arrogant, you weren't really that nice, you don't go out and say, oh my gosh, this horrible person, she called me that, she doesn't know me, and she doesn't have this understanding about what I do. Instead, you can just go back and say, you know what, maybe what did I do in that moment? Maybe I didn't have a good day. Maybe I really responded a little short-spoken. Maybe there's something to apologize. And if there is, you can just go back like, hey, if I really made you feel this way, I apologize. I didn't mean to. And that's all there is to do. Yeah. It's literally that easy, and you can let go. If you don't let go of it, you just wheel over it the whole time, and it hangs on you, and it just comes with you. And then every other interaction that you have with other potential clients or your audience, your fans, you start to see it in the light of that one person that you didn't clean up with.
Right.
You took that personally.
Right.
It will drag through all of your interactions after that until you deal with it inside of you. And it might just be a trigger, a story that you have created. Maybe it was just an event from a very long time ago where your best friend called you arrogant, or someone in school embarrassed you in front of everyone else, whatever the story is. And in my case, it's where I say to people, there's probably a trapped emotion. Again, everything is energy. So if there is some energy within your body that is stuck, it alters your whole understanding of your body and how you're in balance. It might just be that you have to release some of those to move on and to create more empowering relationships and not take it personally. And I've seen that. But if you continue to take things personally, you bottle it up, you suppress it, it just fills up. And at some point you either explode or you get sick. That can look like a physical illness, mental illness, but even spiritual illnesses. That is not something that you can just ignore. And we wonder why. That's exactly why.
So would you say, keeping yourself at a high vibration, right, is the result of how self-aware you really are?
Yes, pretty much.
Okay, so
how self-aware, and that goes back to your needs. Like keeping your vibration high also means, are you taking care of yourself? Do you eat the right things? What kind of chemicals are you using around you? Are you spraying everything that can really impact your whole system and lower your vibration? And then you're not as aware and not as clear in your mind. Like there's a lot of fog going on. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So let's go into the driven purpose of business and brand. And you mentioned something offline again that I want to highlight. Is you said a lot of the millennials that are now creating brands and businesses for themselves, they're more driven for purpose versus, the other things that say, their elders started businesses for, et cetera. So, what's the end result? What is the outcome? What is what happens when we start to shift our focus on more purpose-driven activity, business, brand,
Mm-hmm.
what happens?
What happens? You actually become a servant leader. You become a thought leader and you serve instead of just trying to make money. I think that is where that is one of the reasons why there's so much debacle about millennials, and I'm still part of it. I'm at the end of it, but I'm still part of it. Where like they're lazy, they're entitled, they don't want to work, they don't want to blah blah blah. Well, no, they do, but they don't want to work with something that doesn't have a bigger purpose. I have heard and talked to so many younger people that said, I know I should be taking this job, it's really well paid, but it just doesn't feel right, and I don't want to say yes. Sometimes we have to do things that we don't want to do, but if we have that awareness, we know, okay, I know I need to do this right now, and it's in purpose of a greater good to where I want to go, and that is okay. But if really something inside of you tells you the whole time, no, don't do it, it's just hurting you, they are more likely to listen to that. And on the outside, it could mean they're not taking the jobs that are being given to them. Why would they do that? They are lazy. They don't want to work. They're entitled. They just want everything like up here. No, actually, they just are more likely to join a company that has a very, very strong mission behind their products, their work, whatever they do. And the same goes for business. And the more purpose-driven you are, the more you want to serve people, the more you are interacting with people on a very hard level, and the more awareness comes into play to really have this be a sustainable and successful business in the long term. Because literally, and that's what I have to remind myself of. Sometimes I sit here and I was like, I should be way further ahead than where I'm at today. And I'm at a really great place with my business, but you still think like, oh no, they are there. They started at the same time with me and they're in the millions or whatever. I should be there, but no, everyone, your business growth with your personal development. If you're a person that has to clean up a lot of stuff inside of you and has to work through a lot because maybe you've gone through a pretty rough childhood, or you have been telling yourself stories that are absolutely not true, you have to clean that up. So it might take a little longer for you to get where you know you're gonna go. Doesn't mean that you are behind. It just means that you are on your very specific path to creating the impact that you want. That is the difference. At the same time, those entrepreneurs who are very aware and are purpose-driven know that whatever they need to grow their business is provided to them. If it's through money, if it's through trading with someone, if it's through people that they meet, if it's through mentors, whatever they need, they're very much aware is that they're provided that this is provided for them so they can grow. And within that mindset, you can be very much at peace and you reflect that on the outside. And there's not this turmoil going on, this extreme breakdown where people are like, oh, what just happened? I don't know what just happened to her. Something doesn't seem in alignment. Like, I'm not sure if I trust her process or his process and what they're going through. But you can be honest, like, hey, you know what? I actually did the work inside. And it's not always pretty. It's sometimes really darn harsh. And sometimes you just want to throw stuff around. Trust me, my poor filing cabinet has quite some dents and some streaks and different colors on it that they shouldn't have. But
I love it.
It's okay.
I love it. No, listen, I love what you're saying, and it's really jiving with me, because when you really start to address those issues, when you really start to ask yourself those questions and have that dialogue with yourself, right? And you start to talk to that inner child. You start to talk to, that voice inside, right? And instead of trying to beat it to death, I did this myself.
Oh, me too.
We
all did.
I think we all have done it, right? Like, we try to beat it down. We try to throw it in a cage. We try to throw it in the closet. And again, like I said before, or you said before, it becomes this compounding effect. And eventually it's coming out for a reason. So you got to have that conversation with it. Like, okay, why are you here again?
Yeah.
Right. So you start to ask. And so now you start to become a friend of this voice. Right. And now the conversation goes a little bit differently. Now, this could sound wild to certain people. Right. But deep down, I believe that they know what we're talking about. They just haven't, those specific people may not have, they just haven't given themselves permission to have that conversation yet, right?
Right.
And
especially guys, I think they're having more of a problem with that because it's always like, you have to be strong, you have to show up dominant and all those things. But interestingly enough, I have an online course about emotions, how to navigate your emotions. And I have more guys sign up than girls. And this is impressive to me because they're all under 30.
Interesting. Yeah. I feel like men will not be as vocal or as public about it, but we all know that whether you're a male or a female, you have to take care of that inner self, you know, and don't be, you know, it's hard to say this, you know, but we're so critical of ourselves. Be less critical and start asking more questions. You know, why is this happening? Why does this keep happening? Mm-hmm. Why am I feeling this way? What did I do? I like what you said before, you know, if I came across arrogant, right? And, you know, somebody had said that about me, right? You might want to approach them and say, I'm so sorry that you felt that way. I just love that approach. Now, 98% of the people won't do that.
No, because it's against their ego. Like it's embarrassing. Why would I have to do that? But that is the authentic, the conversation that comes from the soul. What's his name? His last name is, I think, Sukaf. I think that's how you say it or something. Mm-hmm. He says that authentic power is you communicating in alignment with your soul. That is authentic power that comes from within. And when we can have those conversations, it's so much easier. We don't have to hide. We can be honest, but we don't hurt each other either. It's like, I don't know how to describe it and how I feel about it, but if I could, I would just dance right now because it's such a freedom. It's like you can breathe. You don't have to try to figure out every time what to say when you come from a place of love and, hey, I actually see you. I know that wasn't really nice. You can call people out, of course. When they hurt your feelings, you say that. I really think that just hurt my feelings. I don't know if you did, well, sometimes you can't change people. Then you just have to walk away. But then you know that they're just deliberately assholes, then you can't
right
just walk away, just leave it to that.
You're gonna know right away. Right away. And like, I've met people in my past where you're just like, this isn't connected, this is oil and water right here, so this is what we're gonna do, we're just gonna part and we're gonna call it a day. But then there's other folks that become more open, you know, to suggestion. And I always tell my clients, you know, it's better to be open to suggestion and you just take what you want and discard what you don't. There's no right or wrong here. You got to feel good about it. And I love what you said before, and I really want to shed some light on this, and then we're going to have to wrap up because I didn't realize how quickly time went. But you mentioned before, when your actions don't line up with your belief system, right? Believe it or not, people see that from 10,000 miles away.
They feel it. Yeah.
They feel it. They see it. They hear it, you know, and I think that's the biggest struggle. That's why folks don't make decisions. That's why folks make mistakes over and over and over again, is because that whatever action they took did not align with the belief system that they have. And when it comes to branding, tying this all back into branding, it's, you have to believe what it is. Yeah, that's right. You have to believe in what it is that you're doing. And when I get on these strategy calls, sometimes it's unbelievable how some of these folks, once you dive real deep, they're like, I don't know if this is the right, I don't know.
Because, well, I think what is happening now with the entrepreneurship rising, the numbers of entrepreneurs, is that people are like, oh, they're making easy money. So maybe I would, I jump in that too. If it's real estate, if it's coaches, I mean, the coaching industry is like literally like there, and like, please don't, people. You can ruin people's lives if you don't know what you do. Like they just take a look and compare themselves and where they think they should be. And then, oh, they do it, then maybe I should jump on that too. That's why it is so important. And I mean, you see that with every single business strategy, whoever you do it with, that you need to have a mission statement. Because as long as you have a mission statement, the brand stays the same. The products can change, but you can actually communicate that through your message, why the product may have changed and why you have established. That's why it's so important. And again, you can only understand the real true message if you have the awareness about yourself and really connect to your own intuition. In my book, The Power Faith-Driven Success, I teach people, or I talk about how to trust your intuition more. I've seen it. I started out my business and I literally wasted over $50,000 in just signing up for programs, and I should be doing this and I should be doing that. And I didn't trust myself, what was in alignment with myself. And again, at that point, I didn't even know about my emotional world either. There was so much anger going on and upset and frustration and sadness, and I couldn't figure it out. And once I actually studied it, and there's a profound story when I started that, but we're not going to get into that right now. But in general, once I understood where this was going, I was able to trust my intuition more, like, oh, fear is coming up, or upset and anger is coming up. What does that mean for me? Is that in alignment what I'm just about to sign up for with me? By now, people don't have to sell me anything anymore, because if it's a yes, no matter what it costs, I will make it work. And I know if it's for me, it's being provided for. If it's a no, then it's a no. You can't try to convince me. It just stays a no, because I know it's not in alignment. If I sign up for something that is not in alignment and I just do it out of ego-driven, because everyone does it and I should too, then I never have the money, and I usually end up somewhere down there like, where did my money go?
You do not get the end result that you're looking for. And man, that last little section, that last little piece that you just mentioned is so powerful. I'm going to wrap this up right here, because I think it's a great place to end, because that is so, so powerful to understand that and to be okay with that and to be hyper. I'm losing I'm such at a loss for words today. I didn't eat lunch, so I blame it on the lunch. I didn't eat lunch.
You didn't take care of yourself.
Exactly.
There you go.
That's why I can't find my words. But it's so important to be that vigilant. Like you said, it's like understanding that and being in tune, and that's what's going to get you the success. That's what's really going to make you live the life that you want to live, build the business you want to build, instead of pointing fingers or any of that nonsense. It all comes down to you. So you might as well have that conversation with yourself. You might as well have that relationship with yourself, because you got to live with it for the rest of your life. Right? So look at it that way. And there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. Your energy is going to be low. Your energy is going to be super high. And it's just being okay with that. Yeah. And just having that, again, having that open communication with yourself, I believe will strengthen that mindset and will be able to point you in the direction that you're looking to go in, hence creating this purpose-driven business and becoming that servant leader, like you mentioned. Yeah. That is a completely different approach. And I see the youngsters taking that approach going forward, and I see them doing massive things, not only with themselves and their lives, but helping thousands of other folks.
Oh yeah.
With the businesses that they're creating. So as we wrap up, Isabel, I want folks, if they are looking for more information about you, if they're looking to dive a little bit deeper into this topic, because it is a topic that should be looked at and should be paid attention to, specifically if you want to create a sustainable business, a business and a brand that is here way beyond your years, right? Where could they find you?
The easiest way is my website, isabelhundt.com, HUNDT, for the last name. D, usually people forget the D, DT. But if people just want to learn more about their emotional world and how to navigate that, it's theempoweredwarrior.com, where you can find more information about how to navigate your emotional world successfully. I make it easy, simple, short videos. So
I love it.
Bite size, really saying, okay, I can take that into my routine and I can implement it right away. So
I love it. Well, Isabel, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your insight. I appreciate your expertise and knowledge on this. And it's eye-opening, how important mindset is. Mindset is, everyone's talking about it these days. Yes. And if we don't have the right mindset, because I always say your mindset is just an offset of your business and brand.
Sure.
I should say the opposite. Your business is an offset of your mindset. Brand.
Yes.
So,
you're right.
Yeah. So, when you throw out that negative energy, your business is going to throw that energy out.
Oh, heck yes.
And when
we're going to have that shift more and more. If you do the groundwork, you can thrive.
Hey, boom. I love it. That's the topic. That is the headline of this podcast, my friend.
Yes.
Well, there you have it, guys. Another podcast in the books. Just real quick before we end this episode, if you haven't subscribed to this podcast yet, please do. If you enjoy the content, please write a quick little written review. That is the fuel to my fire, and I thank you and I appreciate it in advance. And if you haven't shared it with a friend or a colleague yet, I invite you to do that as well. So there you have it. Some great mindset tips, some great purpose-driven branding concepts that you can take away and start implementing immediately. Again, Isabel, thanks again for being on the show, and we will all catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for having me.